Thank everyone for watching Rooster Teeth at E3, presented by Jason Bourne. We're joined by Rex here, who's a creative director at Tiburon for Madden 17.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining.
That's a great gig to get. I'm assuming you grew up as a football fan.
Yeah, not only a football plan, but I played as a kid and played in college, and worked in the video game industry for 15 years, working on mostly first-person shooters like Medal of Honor, Homefront, and Turok. So when I finally got into sports, and got the Madden job, it was definitely a dream job for me.
Turok, that's such a great game.
Old school, right?
Oh yeah, it's one of the only games there was a cheat code in to make everything in slow motion, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah, Turok Dinosaur Hunter on the Nintendo 64 is my first credited title as a QA tester. That's a little claim to fame for me on Turok.
So is it fair to say then that you probably very early on played the Madden series, on the Genesis and in that era of video games?
Yeah, that's actually when I remember truly getting into it. When I got to college, it was all about Madden on the Sega Genesis, and very competitive play among guys on my team. And at the time it was very arcadey in video gaming, and now it's definitely much more of a hardcore football fan simulation type of game. But yeah, that's when my love for the passion for the sport started.
I think, I've had many fights with friends over Madden games, and things can get really heated, so I can definitely see that. And the same way, I've been playing the game for years, so it's always exciting to see what's changing and what's coming out with the game.
Yeah.
And it seems like you all are taking a real hard look at competitive gaming and esports, and that seemed like a no-brainer. I can't believe I had never thought about that before. What's sparking the sudden interest in it?
Well, I think you have to look around at the industry, and when you see what's happening on the PC side with Riot and League of Legends and Dota and these other things, the console industry has to look at that and see it as an opportunity. There's no reason why we shouldn't be in that space, right? And Madden feels like a no-brainer. FIFA feels like a no-brainer. I know all the big shooters will enter into that space soon. We could see within the next 3 to 5 years console games selling out 10,000-seat stadiums for their live event finals. We could completely see that reality coming to pass. But for me specifically, as a gameplay creative director, which is where I primarily focus, seeing your sport exposed like that, and when people are playing your game for a lot of money, they will use every grieve, every exploit, every trick, every cheat they can get their hands on. And when that happens, the quality of your game starts to devolve. Now, for someone like me who has to build an authentic representation of what you see on Sundays, when that televised cast doesn't look like football anymore and it looks like what we call Madden ball, that's a bad look for us, it's a bad look for me, it's a bad look for our franchise. So it's a whole new level of pressure on me and my team to deliver a game that can't be cheated, can't be exploited, and looks like football when it's played at its highest level.
It's interesting you say, that it has to look like football, because I always feel like the NFL was super pioneering in that they have a very specific style for the way that they present games and documentaries and the way they film everything, and that's it's really a testament to the work that you guys do when you load a game of Madden and you're like, this looks just like I could be watching this game on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. We 2 or 3 years ago we hired Brian Murray, an NFL Films cinematographer, and ever since he's been in place as our presentation director, this year with the pylon cameras, and we have time scale replays, wire cameras flying around all over the place, it just took it to a whole new level.
It's so interesting to me too, because a lot of times I see things in the NFL the way they're presented where they almost seem like they're responding to what's available in video games with replays and 360 cameras that go around the players and things like that.
We actually call that beyond broadcast. It's a goal for us in that we want to lead and go to places where broadcast can't go and inspire the networks to then copy our style versus what we've done before, which is always just chase what they do. So that's kind of like a new thing for us these past couple of years.
I think the first experience I had where I thought, wow, the NFL's it almost seems like they're heading towards the video game aesthetic was just the 10-yard or the first down line.
Yeah.
Just adding that in where you could see that from anywhere on camera. It's it seemed like super progressive technology, and it's been around for over a decade now.
And now they have NFL Next Gen Stats, which you see sometimes in the broadcast, where they actually have telemetry built into the players' pads. They can tell how fast they're moving, how far they've traveled. We have a relationship with them. We want to bring some of that stuff into our broadcast package. So, yeah, all that stuff is going to be even better moving forward.
I love all of those telemetry data points that you get, like top speed, amount of time run, and it's just amazing to see like all of the data you can gather now when it comes to sports.
Well, I always love from NFL films when they would mic one player for the day. That's always. I wish I could get a raw feed of that.
We talk about that actually. I think in the future, FIFA introduced a story mode this year, and in the future maybe Madden will get there.
I would love that.
That experience of being on the field and positional audio and, maybe something completely separate from the broadcast experience, which is what we've always focused on, to like here is an on-the-field experience where you can hear the players talking and the crowd is 10 times as loud. We're definitely interested in getting into that space. Still a lot of room for Madden to grow in a lot of areas where we haven't put the focus recently.
Mm-hmm. But before we get too far away from the competitive nature in esports, I noticed that at EA, there was all the talk about their Premier Leagues, and that was a big part of their presentation, and how the Madden was going to be a huge part of that. And then you also all got called out at the Xbox presentation as well, where they talked about their arena, their tournaments that they're going to build in native to Xbox. They specifically mentioned EA Sports are going to be a big part of this. Can you talk to us a little bit about that at all?
Yeah, I think with us, when Peter Moore and Todd Citron took over this group, and those are two very high-level executives within EA, stuff started happening because, funding showed up, and then corporate sponsors started calling, and then the biggest thing we did last year was we hired a guy named Matt Marcoux, who used to work for Riot, producing their esports division. Having that knowledge holder within EA was like a force multiplier for everyone around, because now all of a sudden people started to understand the business and understand what good looked like. And he laid a path for us to get to where our 3 to 5 year goal is, and the company has really rallied behind it. And Madden specifically is honored to be at the forefront of that.
That's awesome. So I see a question here on social media. This is Elker7. He's asking a hard-hitting question.
We hope we're pronouncing that correctly.
He said, Logan Kerr. He says, I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm wondering, what's the overall team rating for Denver?
That must be a huge debate, though, because I'm assuming everyone on the development team is also huge football fans, huge Madden fans of the franchise. So it's like, do you guys get in like hotly contested debates about player stats and team rankings?
I'd say no, because everything that we try to do with player stats is data-driven. We have sources that we use. We have formulas that we use. To get somebody's speed, we look at their 40 time so that we have a sample that is common across all players. Mm-hmm. It's not an exact science, and there's been a lot of changeover. Donnie Moore, the ratings czar, who had that role for 20-some years, has moved on. And so we had to figure out who the new ratings guys were going to be. And we actually have 2 youngins that are running it now and doing a great job. But we're working, we talk to NFL all the time with Next Gen Stats. We have kind of a relationship with Pro Football Focus as well. We use every avenue we can to get as many data samples as we can to ensure accuracy in player ratings.
So I would watch a documentary about just that and those guys' jobs. It'd be like a Moneyball documentary.
I was going to say, I'm a big fan of math, so Moneyball is one of my favorite sports movies ever. I'd love to see exactly what you talked about there. Just to find out all the science behind it.
Well, I just have a quick question, too. I know it's a little bit off the beaten path of the Madden franchise, but Gus and I were from Austin. Texas Longhorns are huge there. Any plans for NCAA iteration anytime soon?
You had to ask.
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We actually have a studio in Austin. Part of the Madden CFM team is down in Austin under Josh Lumen and now John White, who's heading up our CFM division. Losing NCA was very painful for me personally, and I know the studio as well. Not only did we have to lose a lot of developer jobs, but we lost one of our core teams at Tiburon, and we haven't really felt like the whole studio we know we are without that franchise in play. Unfortunately, with all the legal stuff that's going on and that this might go up to the Supreme Court, I think our strategy still is that we have to sit on the sideline, let the NCAA work this out, figure out what the model's going to be. But I promise you and all the audience out there that the instant that we have an opportunity to get back in that space and make you guys a college football game, we will be there as soon as we can. And, hopefully we get there in the future, although right now I can't give you a timetable.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear it,
Yeah, we were huge fans, and we played that. He
and
I played that franchise together so many times.
We want it as badly as you do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But we can still get our fix with pros. So.
Yeah, we'll play the NFL version. There's been a big focus this year at E3 on VR experiences. Could you ever see, maybe some point in the future doing like quarterback simulation or some type of VR add-on experience to the Madden franchise?
Yeah. So, me personally, I'm an early adopter Oculus owner, and I have been a champion of VR from the very early days since I played around with a DK2 and would sell it around the studio like crazy, even when people at EA would say, hey, there's no market there. Like, that's not for us yet. We got to wait until there's mass market penetration. But slowly over time, the conversations start changing. The more people that see it and feel it is like, well, there might actually be something here. So while I can't comment specifically on any plans that Madden VR has, I can tell you that as the creative director of the Madden franchise, I have a deep, deep passion for VR. And I can pretty much predict to you that standing on the 50-yard line at Lambeau Field, coming out of the huddle as Aaron Rodgers, is an experience that I have got to bring to market, whatever it takes. To think about what it would feel like to throw a touchdown and have the crowd explode from the quarterback's perspective or something like that, I could never, ever, I would have to get that in your hands somehow. So I will promise you right now that although I can't commit to everything, I will fight with every fiber of my being in the next 2, 3, 4 years, however long it takes, to make sure that Madden VR is the thing that happens.
I think as a football fan, too, if there's so many unbelievably poignant historical moments, like imagine like if you get in the ice bowl, and that kind of thing.
Like I think about historic moments, and I also think about like stadium tours or stuff like that, where you could go through and really experience what it's like to be there on the field like a pro.
Sit in the dog pound, that kind of thing.
Well, you can imagine, if you email us your season ticket and say I'm in row this, section that, and we actually give you a spot, and in Madden VR you're sitting in your exact seat for your thing. We have ideas around like, hey, what if spectator mode could be a thing, and you could VR spectate on the field, the Madden Championships in a future year. So lots of ideas. The quarterback experience feels like a great fit, and we'll definitely be poking around there, but nothing to firmly commit to at this time.
Well, if it ever happens, can I put a bug in your ear? If you could just put the Houston Oilers in there, even as an unlockable, that way I can pretend the franchise still exists. Because as a kid, that was the team I followed. It's like I would love to be able to see the Oilers again. So it'd be crazy to sit in a stadium and even in a virtual reality environment and watch them play.
Yeah, even maybe like we talked about these experiences, like experiences that don't exist anymore. See the Astrodome, what it was like, for the Oilers at the time.
Yeah, it'd be so tremendous.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us here today. We had a ton of fun talking to you about Madden. We're super excited for the new game. And
thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
When are people going to be able to get their hands on Madden 17?
August 26th, I think, or August 28th, around that time is our usual release date, and we are on track right now. Team's finaling right now, and we'll be going through our usual beta process here, our closed beta process over the next couple of months, and then get the thing out to you guys as soon as we can and get this thing started off.
So it's August 23rd. I just looked it up.
August 23rd.
August 23rd. You can pick it up.
Tried to buy myself an extra couple days there.
To be decided.
Thanks a bunch, Rector.
Okay, thank you guys.
We're going back over to Joel and Adam.